All right, so in order to practice our cities, we're going to start, as always, with our horizon line. Depending on where the horizon line is located and how you construct your buildings kind of depends on where your eyesight is going to be or where the sky meets the ground. So if you wanted a really high up kind of horizon line, then you'd have a lot more going on down at the bottom. If you have a lower horizon line, you'll have more going on at the top. But for the sake of a demonstration, I'll throw mine in the middle so we have a little bit of both. Now, I'm drawing this horizon line, and depending on how intricate I make my city, I could eventually erase that entire horizon line. Okay, so that's why we need to make sure we're pressing lightly, as well as pressing lightly for our vanishing points. Remember, this is 2-point perspective, so there'll be one vanishing point on the left-hand side and one vanishing point on the right-hand side. Now, if you wanted to, you could push this one pretty far out. You could move this one in slightly, but we want to stay maybe towards the end of the pages. If you also think that this paper is too kind of scrunched for you, you can always grab a piece of tape, tape a paper underneath, extend this out even more, and then you could even make your vanishing point all the way out here. You guys can see that? Now you can. So this wouldn't be my vanishing point. I could extend my vanishing point out even further if I really wanted to create that kind of approach with my city. But just for demonstration purposes, I'll do this, horizon line in the middle, 2 vanishing points on my paper, but the possibilities really are endless on what you want to do and how creative you can be with this. Okay, so I'm going to throw a building just down in the middle as my starting point. That's going to be both above the horizon line and below the horizon line. And as far as I go down for the horizon line is going to justify where my road is going to be located. Remember, with 2-point perspective, we always want to start with the middle, the corner or edge of the building, and then however far I draw to the vanishing point on either side is how long or narrow my building is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and line these up, pressing lightly. I can stop however far I want to stop to ensure that that's about how long I want my building, and I'm not adding too many extra lines, so then I have to erase too much, and maybe then I press too hard, and then my craftsmanship isn't going to be the greatest. So perfectly vertical line. I want my building to be about yay long on this side. Now I don't have to do the same distance on the other side, because then that would show how wide the building is and how long it is in the front. Length by width, if you will. Okay, line my top edge up with the other vanishing point, so I'll go ahead and do that. I'll make this a more skinnier building, because I can and I want to. Okay, perfectly vertical line, shift over. Now I see this happening a lot. If you drew your line out here, so if your bottom line goes out to here and your top line only goes to here, I see a lot of students in past draw their line connecting those two. Just because you drew this one further out and this one not so further out doesn't mean you connect it from this point to that point. You still want to ensure a perfectly straight line. Okay? If you're going for a more abstracted building, you can kind of figure that out, but you would have to really showcase the skill as to why the building would look like that. Okay, so remember I told you that eventually at some point in time the entire horizon line could be erased. So now there is no more horizon line inside my building because this is not transparent or see-through. It is opaque. Okay, now let's go ahead and add my road so I can understand where my other buildings are going to be located. So I think it's easiest to start with one building and then build your road off of that. Once again, this doesn't have to be a road. It could be a dirt path. It could be a waterway. It could be whatever you want it to be. But for right now, with demonstration purposes, we're going to go for a road. Okay, let's draw the other side of the road now. Now for this one, I'm just gonna take it all the way through my paper because I don't know where it's gonna stop for the other side. And let's try and line it up perfectly parallel with my building, so I can line my ruler up here, maybe make a dot right there. Then I can line my vanishing point edge and connect it to that dot. So now I know my road is going to be equal on both sides. Okay, it's not wonky and funky. You can kind of make it that way, but once again, you have to have reason as to why you're going to do that. All right, so then just to keep everything kind of structured effectively, I'm going to line my ruler up with the vanishing point. I'll line it up with the line because my ruler's not long enough. Take this one all the way through. And take that all the way through. Okay, so now I have a road. Now there aren't any lines right here anymore on the road, so we can go ahead and erase those. Okay. Then we want to maybe build a sidewalk. So we will kind of go down from here. The sidewalk will get bigger. So the sidewalk's going to be really skinny here because when things are further away, remember the railroad tracks, they get smaller. And then when they get closer to us, they get bigger. So you want to slightly angle it out a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and stop right here because I know my sidewalk isn't going to intersect with my road. Lift my pencil up and then go where most likely it would continue. Okay, then I want to try and get the same size sidewalk on this side. Okay. Then we can kind of draw that straight line down, and then this is going to make the sidewalk look three-dimensional, like it's popping off the actual road itself. Okay, and then you would take every angled line to the opposite vanishing point. So then I would twist, and then the more you get into the distance, the smaller your lines are going to be and the closer together they're going to be. So if this is how big I'm making them distance wise, since this is just a practice one, I'm going to go through, go to the vanishing point, and then every time I get further back, I'm going to draw my lines closer and closer to one another, and then they are also getting smaller and smaller. Then once again, go vertical. And then that's going to give the idea that the sidewalk goes this way and then cuts down and goes straight down. Okay, then I would do the same thing on the other side. Straight up and down. And we're starting to develop that idea of form and three-dimensionality. Okay. All right, so let's actually keep the road. We'll do that. Okay, so here you would do the sidewalk again. We would connect these, go straight down with it, go to our vanishing point. It would get bigger, closer to us, and then you would go vanishing, then straight down. And then these ones would get spaced out more because they're closer to us now. Okay, then we would do straight down, same distance, vanishing. Okay, this is just practice. For the real one, you would use a ruler for basically everything you're going to do, unless something's more organic. Okay, now we have our intersection. This would be sidewalk. Probably go like that. Okay. Now maybe we want to make this intersection have a light pole, so I could go in the corner of each guy. This one closest to us is going to be the biggest, so we'll go ahead and draw like our lines here. This line is a lot taller than this line because it's closer, and then this one should be about bigger than this one but smaller than that one. Straight up and down. This one should be the same height as that one. So those are matching. And then you can draw maybe the wire. So then the wire would just swoop down and curl up to each point. So now we're starting to build on top of other things we've drawn. Try and make them the same each time. Okay, then these wouldn't be just straight lines, they would be forms, because nothing in life is just a straight line unless it's like a billboard drawing or something. Okay, so then we could add highlights to those, add some shadows, wherever the light source is coming from. Maybe you want to have the cars, I'm just going to throw this on here. Here would be the little stop before you enter the walkway. So you could line this up. That would go to vanishing. That would go to vanishing. And this opposite, this is a rectangle, so we would vanishing, vanishing. Okay, same thing would go for the lines. For left side of the road and right side of the road. Bigger, closer to us. Okay, and then we can just shift out our ruler a little bit. Mimic those same lines again. Okay, and then you would take all of them to the opposite vanishing. So just like the sidewalk, opposite vanishing, and then they're going to get more drastic the further in space and the smaller and closer they are. Okay, so all those angles are going to that vanishing, and then the whole line itself is going to that vanishing. And this one would crop off the page. Okay, then we could have the other little crosswalk guy here. Vanishing, 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 vanishing. Maybe you want a light. This would be kind of a rectangle, and once again, we go the vanishing, straight up and down, vanishing. Then this will go to opposite vanishing to make it a box, vanishing again, down, opposite vanishing, and then you can add your little lights in there. And now you have that facing this way, so then the opposite one would be on this side, and you wouldn't see the lights on this one because you see the back side of the box. So vanishing, straight up and down, vanishing, and you would make it three-dimensional, opposite vanishing, and then you have a box just like you do there. Okay, then you can do the other one here, boom, boom. And then you have your lines for the middle of the road. Okay. Now, as far as buildings go, so we got a good understanding of some smaller detailed stuff. Real quick, if you wanted light posts or something similar to it, or trees, you'll see in the videos next class. Here would be a light post. This one is closest to us, so it's the biggest. Then you would have another light post that'd be a little bit smaller. Okay, and another light post, which would be then even more smaller. Another light post smaller. Okay, so now we can see the perspective there. Now, if you wanted to line them up all 100% perfectly, you could draw very lightly. You would erase that entire line, and then all the light posts would line up with that. So I drew this one a little bit too small. And then they get closer to each other as they go back in space. Okay, but then I would need to erase that entire line that goes to the vanishing point. But now you know, since we use that vanishing point and angle, that as somebody would walk down the street, they would see that all these light posts would be the exact same size because we use the vanishing point, and therefore, when you move in, they would get bigger. If you have buildings in front of each other, so maybe you want to put a building behind this one, you would not draw the line that intersects with the building because that building is going to be in front of this one. Then you would draw that line, go to the vanishing point, and make this building however big you want to make it. Go to the other vanishing. Okay, and then this one is behind that building, so then we'll just stop there. Now we're starting to show layering. Then this one can come down, and you'd have that. Now you would then want to make it look like it's kind of coming off the road, so you could then come to the bottom line here and go to the vanishing. So then you have the idea of, I didn't do that right. Hang on. Whoopsies, my B. You would kind of do something wrong. Time out. Why am I not doing it right? I think we need to show the other part of that. Okay, so we could do that, which is fine. I'll show you how to do that Friday. If you want buildings that are overlapping and get cropped off, you could easily draw your middle line here. Bring that up however high you want. Now remember, this time we would see the top of the building. Go that way. Go this way. You come straight down. Come straight down. Now in this case, we would erase everything on the inside. This is why we press lightly, so we can get rid of all that. Okay, then take this to the opposite vanishing for the rooftop. Erase all this inside stuff, your extra lines. Okay, now you have a building that looks like it's in front of the other things. Maybe we can throw in a window here. Straight up and down, straight up and down. Vanishing. Okay, then you have your windows. It's just one big window. It's kind of like a reflection. Okay, then you could, I don't know, lots of things you could do. You could do other buildings on kind of the road here. You could do just a building kind of randomly placed in the middle. I don't know, you could come down short here and then connect another part of the building to it. It's got like a little bit of character to it. Erase my road that is now behind it in my horizon line. Okay, then we go to vanishings. So everything is going to the vanishings. It's vertical. Lots of different things you can do. Okay, but once again, anytime something's above the horizon line, we went down to the vanishings. This one was basically right on it, so that was perfectly straight. And then this one's going back up. So down, up. Okay, maybe this is where the door is. Vertical lines, vanishing point on the opposite side, door handle. And then maybe you got a billboard here, vertical, diagonals, some windows. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. Completely up to you. Maybe you want to make it look like you're in Colorado and they've got the mountains in the background. So then same thing here. Maybe if you want trees here, we'll do this. I'm going to help the earth be green. So then we'd have a tree here that would only be this height. Then you would have a tree here, which would then be this height based off your line that goes to the vanishing point. And this tree will be the biggest because it's closest to us. Okay. So that's just kind of a quick rundown of how things interact with one another, how things layer on top, how this building is now behind this building, how this building has some character to it, but still goes to the vanishing point. This building is closer to us, so then it covers up the road itself, and we also see the rooftop. You can mimic the shape here, going to the vanishing points. And then you could maybe draw this down line here to give it three-dimensionality. Okay, so you see how quickly that developed into three-dimensionality, just going vanishing point that way, vanishing point that way, and then I remimic the vanishing point here and here, gave it that line to connect, shadow, shadow, maybe it's a helicopter pad, I don't know. You would then, once again, understand where your light source is coming from, top left, top right, middle, and then we would cast some shadows on our buildings, and then we'll also discuss casting shadows on the ground. So if the light source is coming this way, this side of the building will be dark, and then this side of the building is going to also cast a shadow onto the ground. And then each one of these trees would cast a shadow. Each one of these light poles. Okay. So lots of things we'll discuss in the next couple days as we understand how two-point perspective works in real life, dealing with details, highlights, shadows, light source, overlapping, and other things like that. All right.